I've been asked to further explain the use of the trim command. It is quite a tricky command to use. I'm looking here at a GardenCAD drawing. It's reasonably well developed, and let's imagine there's a seating area through here, and this is going to be a fireplace, a focal point, and I'll zoom in. And I'll take first the simplest example of the trim command. So modify and trim, and if you watch down in the command area, the command trim has been issued. It's telling us now, the program's saying pick the cutting edges. Think of the cutting edges like a guillotine. So I'm going to slice off this overhanging bit. So this will be the guillotine. Then I right click, and then I click the bit that's hanging over with the left button and then the right button to finish, and then I can select that one and delete it. So that's a simple way to trim. So in other words, if you need to trim something and there's nothing there, draw a dummy line across like so. Go to modify, pick trim, select the cutting edge, the guillotine or the knife, right click, pick the bit that's hanging off, finish it off, and then select the what amounts to a construction line and just get rid of it. When a line though runs through and on top of a rectangle, I click here now, that's a rectangle, you might be forgiven for saying, well, the trim doesn't work. Modify, trim, and you say, okay, that's the cutting edge, it's the rectangle is going to be the cutting edge, and I want to take, I've right clicked now, I've found my cutting edge, I want to take this piece off, and voila, it worked. But you have to still repeat the command. You can't do two at once. Repeat the trim, that's the cutting edge, and then pick it again, and that removes it. So we've drawn a line through the center of that rectangle. Sometimes with other entities you have to explode. If you've got a complex entity, you may not be able to trim, and you may have to explode it. So you might pick on a rectangle. If your trim's not working, pick on the rectangle, right click, and explode it. Now you've got 4 separate lines, in fact more than that in this particular instance, and we've got a couple of lines through here, but we've got the chimney in place. Let's remove that line because that was a dummy line. So there's the chimney through there. Now I might want to take this section out through here because the hearth extends out. That was part of a long arc. Now this may or may not work, and it's often important to click on enter. If your trim doesn't work, you've got to sort out where the entities start and fit. I'll do that now. If I pick here, see, in fact that line running around there is not joined on. So we've got a single, looks like an arc running through there. I can determine that by going properties, and yeah, it is an arc, center X, and so on. The radius and start angle are there. So we've got an arc through there. We may want to use this line and this line as a cutting edge to cut that arc off, but the arc might well fit right at the end. You might not actually be able to slice it because it may not overhang. So let's modify and trim. We'll see how it goes. This will be a cutting edge, and this will be a cutting edge. Right click and pick the object in between, and voila, it in fact worked, but quite often that won't. So I hope that helps a little in fleshing out the trim command. Be aware that more complex shapes like splines and polylines sometimes won't act as a cutting edge. You have to explode them in order to do it. One other word of warning, if you right click and go to options and you've turned your crosshair size, show the crosshair, or turn it off, or you've set that to 0, you won't be able to trim at all. You need a small crosshair size to be able to trim.